Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash Barakata. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raya with another video, and I got a few articles and scriptures to show that war with Iran is inevitable. It's right around the corner. It's all part of prophecy, because war in that Middle East region will be the Battle of the Valley of Jehoshaphat, or the Battle of Armageddon. And I'm going to be reading from my first article on ZeroHedge.com titled, U.S. Preparing to Bomb Iran's Nuclear Capabilities as Soon as Next Month, report says. As the White House convenes a policy meeting on Iran Thursday involving senior Pentagon officials and cabinet advisors under National Security Advisor John Bolton, who's a war hawk to the extreme. He was an architect that helped push for war with Iraq, and he's an extreme war hawk for pushing for war with Iran. I've done a few videos on him in the past. And after a week of intense saber-rattling by President Donald Trump and his Iranian counterpart Hassan Rouhani, a new bombshell report by Australia's ABC says the White House is drawing up plans to strike Iran's alleged nuclear facilities as early as next month. Senior figures in the Australia's Turnbull government have told the ABC they believe the U.S. is prepared to bomb Iran's nuclear capability. The bombing could be as early as next month. And while we're not putting a timetable on anything, it's all up to the Most High. Just know that war with Iran is inevitable, whether it be as early as next month, as they say, tomorrow or next week. It's going to happen. No peace treaty or ceasefires or diplomatic efforts are going to stop that. And I pray that it happens as soon as possible, because I'm ready for things to start kicking off, as I'm sure all you other sincere Akim out there are as well. Crucially, Australia is part of the so-called Five Eyes global intelligence partners, which include the US, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, and plays in a key role in hosting top-secret facilities that guide American spy satellites. According to the breaking report, ABC, or the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, has learned the following based on statements of key senior defense and intelligence officials. Senior government figures have told the ABC they believe the Trump administration is prepared to bomb Iran, which they are. They say Australian defense facilities would likely play a role in identifying possible targets. But another senior source in security emphasizes there's a difference between providing intelligence and active targeting. The report cites high-level Aussie government officials who say that secretive Australian defense and intelligence facilities would likely cooperate with the United States and Britain in identifying targets in a strike on Iran. One particular facility, the Pine Gap Joint Defense Facility in the Northern Territory, would play a significant targeting role in joint U.S.-led strikes on Iran, according to the report. It's considered crucial among the so-called Five Eyes intelligence partners for its role in directing American spy satellites. And further, other agencies are expected to play a role. Analysts from the little-known spy agency Australian Geospatial Intelligence Organization would also be expected to play a part. Canada would be unlikely to play a role in any military action in Iran, nor would the smallest Five Eyes security partner New Zealand, sources said. However, though officials speaking to ABC on condition of anonymity say intelligence plans for targeting suspected Iran nuke sites have begun, Australia's foreign ministry is still seeking to avoid war through intense diplomatic efforts. Australia is urging Iran to be a force for peace and stability in the region, Foreign Minister Julie Bishop told ABC's AM program on Thursday. The report comes after President Trump's all-caps Twitter tirade on Sunday, which warned Iran to never ever threaten the United States again, or you will suffer consequences, the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. The issues developing, Salakia. And I gotta say, Trump's turning out to be one of my favorite presidents because it's looking like he's going to be the one to kick off this battle of Armageddon and really be a force for getting these prophecies pushed through. And recently, George Mattis, who's a part of Trump's cabinet, said that these claims by Australia are unfounded. But as we know, you can't trust these U.S. Edomites. They're always flip-flopping and saying one thing, then saying another. But what is assured to happen is this war with Iran. And I got another article on activist posts on antiwar.com titled, "Bolton, Iran will pay price for any negative actions," doubling down on President Trump's late-night Twitter rant threat to make Iran suffer consequences the likes of which throughout history have ever suffered before. National Security Advisor John Bolton says President Trump had spoken to him in recent days about his intention to take action. And if there wasn't a plan for war with Iran, Trump would have never appointed John Bolton to that National Security Advisor position. Bolton says Trump told him that the next time Iran does anything at all to the negative, they will pay a price like few countries have ever paid before. Bolton has been advocating U.S. wars against Iran for many years. And what you also have to remember is that the U.S. and Donald Trump are just a puppet of the state of Israel, who want a war with Iran because they want hegemony in the region. And I did a video the other week talking about that. But also the state of Israel is just a puppet for the elites, such as the Rothschilds and the DuPonts, who want to push for war, which will lead to them ushering in that new world order and the implementation of that Mark of the Beast microchip. And while neither Trump nor Bolton explicitly said that what was going to happen to Iran was a U.S. military attack, that was clearly meant to be the implication. Bolton in particular would almost certainly not seem so satisfied with the plan if this was something short of war. Many analysts are comparing President Trump's recent comments against Iran to last year's threats against North Korea, which preceded a diplomatic deal. Whether this is an attempt to replicate that in Iran or just a threat for its own sake for its own sake remains to be seen. And as I said earlier, there's going to be no diplomatic deals, ceasefires, or peace treaties. There's going to be this devastating war, which is going to be that Battle of Armageddon and World War III. There's no stopping this train once it's started. This is all the Most High's plan anyway. And I got another article on ZeroHedge.com titled, "Iran warns Trump not to cut off oil exports, threatens mother of all wars," or that battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, that Battle of Armageddon. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani warned the U.S. not to threaten the nation's oil exports and called for improved relations with its neighbors, including arch-nemesis Saudi Arabia, and cautioned the U.S. that a conflict with Iran would be the mother of all wars. "Don't play with the lion's tail. This would only lead to regret," Iran's leader said during a speech with Iranian diplomats on Sunday. The semi-official Iranian Students News Agency reported, "The Americans must understand well that peace with Iran is the mother of all peace, and war with Iran is the mother of all wars," he said, adding that Iranians will only be united by further threats from the U.S. and that the Islamic Republic will certainly defeat America. And these Iranians, Slovakia, they're not scared of the U.S. because they know if the U.S. strikes them, that'll bring Russia in to defend them. And that's why, as it says in Joel chapter 3, I'm going to start at verse 9, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, not peace. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up." And verse 10, "Beat your plowshares into swords, so no diplomatic deals or peace treaties, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong," such as Iran saying that if the U.S. has peace with Iran, that it'll be the mother of all peace, but if the U.S. has war with Iran, it'll be the mother of all wars. And that's pretty much it with this article. So now I'm going to get into a few more scriptures to show that this war in the Middle East, or that battle of the Valley of Jehoshaphat, is inevitable. Now I'm going to go to Joel chapter 2 verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and this is talking about the U.S. military, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, which is talking about the Middle East, because when the average person thinks of the Middle East, what's the first thing that comes to mind? A barren and desolate desert that only has oil as its natural resource. With his face towards the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And I've got a map to show what his face towards the east sea is. That's talking about the Euphrates River, which is leading, as you can see, leads towards the east into the Persian Gulf. And what happens to be above the Persian Gulf, Iran, which they're talking about going to war with. And also the Euphrates goes through Iraq and Syria, which the U.S. has military forces in right now and has fought a war with already in the case with Iraq, and has had proxies fighting in that civil war in Syria. And his hinder part toward the utmost sea is speaking of the Red Sea, which is behind him. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. That's because a lot of U.S. military personnel, among other people fighting in that region, are going to die, and that stink is going to come up from all those dead and rotten bodies. And now I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 9, Slakia, chapter 9, verse 14. Revelation 9 and 14, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And we know where that river Euphrates is. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. So these angels are just waiting for that order so they can release all this destruction into that Middle East region, which is that battle of the Valley of Jehoshaphat. And to slay the third part of men is speaking of you Edomites, you so-called white people, because there's one part which are the sons of God, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the true children of the Most High, the children of Israel. There's another part which are the sons of men, which are these other nations such as the Moabites or Chinese, Ishmaelites or Arabs. And then there's the sons of the wicked, that other part which are you so-called, which are you Edomites, you so-called white people. And this is who this to slay a third part of men is talking about, because a lot of you Edomites are going to die in this coming destruction, not just over there, but when the United States is completely destroyed by a nuclear fire. All of you Edomites in the United States are going to die, among you other nations that are still here, as well as 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that aren't coming back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. Now let's go back to Joel chapter 3. I'm going to start at the top. Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah, are you so-called Negroes, and Jerusalem, which is a term for the northern tribes, you so-called Latinos and Native Americans, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh's Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel. And by plead, that doesn't mean the Most High is going to come with a bouquet of roses asking these other nations to stop afflicting his people. No, that's a severe judgment for the horrors these other nations, chiefly through Esau, the so-called white man, is committed against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and America, Slakia, committed against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, not just in the past, but up until today, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land, which we can see from the transatlantic slave trade, which not only brought you Negroes to the United States and the Americas, but also brought you Latinos and Native Americans to Europe and other countries across the sea. We've been scattered to the four corners of the earth. Jump back down to verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, such as the United States, Iran, the